Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our information webinar this morning. Great to have you with us. Our subject today is Discover the 3D Experience SolidWorks Offers. This is new, this is exciting, and we're happy to share this information with you this morning. I was kind of drawing a parallel to other industries that have gone through changes that are kind of radical that we've stopped thinking about in the last while. And one of them is how we used to get new films, new videos, new movies, where we would go to a Blockbuster store, for example, and we'd rent the video, take it home physically. And then came along this unique service where you could choose your movies online and they would get delivered to you at your house. And that was the revolution of things. It was all new, all different. And from there, we've gone to full streaming where now we get everything and all the services that we want through the internet. So it's an industry that's gone through a massive revolution in how the services are delivered and consumed by users. In this case, obviously, it's consumers, so it's a little bit different. But the CAD industry is going through its own revolution, and it's kind of the same thing, except that right now, all offers are open to the customer. From the desktop solutions that you know and love from SolidWorks are there, still exist, still being developed. Hybrid solutions, cloud solutions, all sorts of offers. And we're here today to share some of those with you so that you have a better idea of what's available to make the best decisions for you and your company. My name is Joelle Guenette, and I'm the Territory and Partner Manager for Eastern Canada. I cover a lovely territory, and I have with me Michel Cloutier, who's a consultant for solutions, and I'm going to introduce him in just a bit. If this is your first time using GoToWebinar, just a few information so that you're familiar with it and know how to use it. If you want to close the panel on your right-hand side, you do so with the orange arrow that's at the top. If the sound is not coming through on your computer, which is the default normally, selection, you can change the phone. And if you do so, it will give you the information on how to access the phone. So phone number, code, and all this stuff. Just remember that it may not be a local call for you if you go that route, so be aware that there may be charges. Handouts are available. You can download those at any time during the session. And the most important section for us is questions. So if you have questions as we go, please write them in there. And if time permits, we'll get to them. Otherwise, we will get back to you with some answers so that you have the information you're looking for. So let me start this by talking about the platform. 3DEXPERIENCE platform from Dassault Systems is a business platform, and it's meant to connect everyone within a company to the business process and the business process of producing a product. And everything about it and around it is surrounding this purpose of building a product that is a 3D product. So the information that you're sharing has to be acknowledged in this sense and be able to be viewed in this sense, which is, of course, very important. So regardless of the roles and responsibilities of people in your company, there's a vast variety of different aspects that can be tapped into from the platform. And of course, it doesn't matter what geographical system or location people are in, they can access them. Now, 3DEXPERIENCE platform was launched in 2012. It evolved to a cloud platform years ago. And since then, Dassault Systems has also been trying to figure out how do we connect our SolidWorks users to this platform, which was initially developed with tools such as CATIA, Simulia for simulation, which is very high end, and Innovia for our PLM division. So these are the other divisions from Dassault that created the initial 3DEXPERIENCE platform. So since then, we've created 3DEXPERIENCE Works. This is the adapted platform for SolidWorks users that either have SolidWorks or are using for that type of system and solution. So in that marketplace. So combining the ease of use of SolidWorks with the power and the breadth that's available in the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. So combining those two, obviously play on words, SolidWorks, 3DEXPERIENCE Works, so that we kind of know what's for who, right? So what we want to do is we want to solve new problems, not just transfer things into the cloud. We want to solve new problems when we're going there. And you're going to see some of those solutions today. So we have a number of them. They may not all be in this webinar, so you may have to tap into other webinars to see them that we've already done or we will do. But we're trying to solve new solutions for our customers and have done so with some amazing tools. We want to help collaborate without friction. Collaboration is becoming the key in the future. Either within your company, with different departments in your company, with companies outside, with employees who are not in your office, all sorts of things, all sorts of ways to collaborate. And again, to do so with 3D products at the center of this development and this collaboration. Cloud-based tools and solutions offer great advantages, and we also want our customers to be able to take advantage of those. So it may be less hardware in IT. It could be less software, maybe a different software such as SQL for data management that may not be necessary. Easier updates, you're always on the latest version because updates are done much more easily. Deployment is quick. And cost structures are different. So a lot of advantages for cloud that we want our companies and our customers to be able to take advantage of. So today we're going to talk about a whole new solution that's been around for just a few months, which is 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks. And Michel is going to dive into this and show you some live capabilities as he's doing this. Michel has been with SolidWorks for over 15 years. He has seen evolution from the blockbusters to the Netflix, where we are, right?
Yep.
And everything is still valid. So as a solutions consultant, this is one solution that we help you understand if it's the right one for you, and hopefully this will give you a sense of that today. So I will leave you in his hands and enjoy the webinar. All yours, Michel.
All right, well, thank you. Welcome, everyone. So yeah, today we're going to talk about 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks. Now, 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks is a new product that was launched this summer, and to Joelle's point, regular SolidWorks is still there. 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks is a little bit different, and we're going to go through that today, but you'll see that there's actually a lot of similarities as well. First of all, what is 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks? It's SolidWorks. That's what it is, with some distinctions. First of all, it has the ease of use of SolidWorks you all know and love, but it's already has data management through the cloud, secure data management through the cloud built into it, and we're going to explore how that works today. The benefit for that is that it really helps collaborate between team members. We all know since the pandemic, people are working from home most of the day, or oftentimes some in the office. People are just a little bit all over the place. Well, that makes it really easy because the data is securely stored on the cloud. So you have access to internet, you have access to your data. It's that easy. Mobility as well, right? So if you have to work a couple of days in the office and then you work from home for a couple other days, of the week, you don't have to carry around the data anymore. You just need to have SolidWorks, or you bring your laptop, but you don't need to copy files just to work from home. You just connect to the internet and you've got your files. Also the offer. So we built 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks into a offering. Now in that offering, there's additional tools that you can leverage, cloud-based design tools. And we're going to explore some of those today. If you were on my webinar last month, you saw XDesign and XShape, which are the cloud-based design tools that we're going to talk about today. But we didn't really touch on how those tools interact with SolidWorks. We're going to do that today, though. The other benefit of the cloud is having the updates, brought down automatically or brought to you automatically. So a good example, there's actually a platform update over the weekend. It's going to happen between Saturday and Sunday in the night hours. And what the benefit for that is that me coming in to work on Monday morning, I've got the new updates available if I want to use them or not, right? So they're there. I don't have to go in and go on a website to download or anything. It's there, right? So it's really easy to get the updates and all the management of the installations, if any, are required, much easier. Now, today we're going to use a data set from a company called Biodab. Biodab is really the story of Mike Schultz that you see on the bottom left here, which is a professional motocross racer that actually lost one of his leg in an accident. And he decided that's not going to stop him. And so he designed a prosthetic leg that actually brought him to be a medalist at the Paralympic. So very cool story. If you want to learn more about Biodab, I'll play a little video at the end, couple minutes video after we're done, so you can just listen in and see what's that's going to be about. But this is the model we're going to be working on. Now, 90%, 95% of this is built inside of SolidWorks, but we're going to do some modeling, a little bit of modeling and documentation. So one thing we want to do is change this piece here for something that's more rigid. So we're going to do that using 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks. Then we're going to do some assembly modeling. So if you're familiar with SolidWorks, you might just gather a couple tips here and there, but this is going to be pretty much SolidWorks. The big difference here is going to be how I manage the files. Like I said, files are managed on the cloud. How does that work with my SolidWorks, running on my laptop? So we're going to explore that. And then the last thing we're going to do is actually talk about how we can use those cloud-based CAD tools to design parts in the cloud in the browser, but bring them into my SolidWorks assembly, put them together, and the whole lot. So I guess we should get to it. Now, the first thing I want to do, like I said, is redesign this. Now, I'm actually going to start from the cloud, and then we're going to jump inside of SolidWorks to actually do some modeling. But let me show you what we're about to do. So going into my browser, like I said earlier, data is on the cloud, meaning data is accessible anywhere. So just using a Chrome browser, even if I'm not a SolidWorks user, I have access to my models on the cloud through a browser. Really cool. So you see here, this is actually what we're going to be redesigning. Now with that, we also have access to create what we call communities. So communities are just a great way to exchange on different topics that we want to talk about. So here we can see this is we actually have some colleagues of mine. So Todd, I can actually see that Todd is online right now. So I could actually give him a call through the 3DEXPERIENCE platform or chat with him or do a video call. But here earlier we got Tandy that put a post saying, hey, we need to check a couple things. So he created this screenshot, put that into the message board so everyone in the team can collaborate in that message board. And there's two things. We see down the bottom, there's too much deflection with the pin, so we need to fix that with modeling a new part. But then we have to validate the motion in the assembly as well. So that's going to be the first part of our task today. And the second part of our task today is going to be to design a cover for the foot and also insert a link that we see here. Again, another image that I actually put on the message board saying, hey, this is what we want to do next, right? So this is going to be our task for today. Now, with regards to what we're going to be modeling, we're actually going to be modeling this little part. Now, to save some time, because I'm sure most of you are very familiar with SolidWorks by now, I'm gonna skip the modeling a little bit. I'm actually just going to fast forward it a little bit. So let me just walk you through how I've modeled this part inside of 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks. So I start with the front plane and then create a rectangular sketch, put in the dimensions, 25 by 65, extrude that mid-plane with the width of 40 millimeters. add some fillets, gather all the fillets with Fillet Expert, use my hole wizard to put in the exact drill and hole I need. Then I go ahead and model the tab on top, extrude that using the M key for a midplane. That's a shortcut. And then I end up with this part. So very straightforward, fairly simple to do. It takes a couple minutes. But then I want to also do a drawing. Again, SolidWorks, 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks is not very different than SolidWorks in how it works. Sketch, parts, drawings, views. I go ahead and insert my model items. They appear on the screen. I do a little bit of cleanup. Again, this is something for a SolidWorks user, not something new, something you probably do day in and day out, and that's where we're at. So I just wanted to kind of fast forward a little bit to save some time, but from here, I'm actually going to jump inside of SolidWorks and pick up where we left. So that's where we are right now. And one thing I want to do is that I now need to kind of put in this little, the hole here where the foot will connect, right? So I'm gonna go in, and for that, I'm gonna turn off my webcam just to save some bandwidth. Let's go ahead inside of SolidWorks. I'm going to use my regular SolidWorks command I know and love. That's my part, right? So I need to get that fastening feature. Now to save, again, a bit of time and maybe a little trick here, I really encourage you to use library features to do that. You can actually save a couple standard features built into one. You can even configure them. It's a drag and drop. I select the edge, which is going to define the midplane, or the midpoint, I should say, and say okay to that. And very quickly, this allows me to actually model like basically three different features just by a drag and drop from my design library. So again, that's a nice way to save some time. Going back to my drawing using a control tab, of course, the drawing is going to update, but I need to add a bit of information to that. So for example, I want to add a center mark on the top view. I might also want to add a center line to the view on the bottom or the front view, like this. Click OK. I want to, a section view would really help me here. So using, again, my shortcut commands, I'm going to draw in a section view. Little tip here, when you got a center line, you can actually snap to the center line. Really helps you, make sure that you drop this section view dead on the center line. Click OK. We got already the center lines showing and the hatching because I've defined the material earlier. Now, the last thing I'm going to do here is bring in my model items for the select few features that I've just added for the entire model, and click OK. So, and maybe do just a little bit of cleanup. So let's just move this over here. Let's go on top, and maybe we're going to add one dimension from the edge to the center, and that's going to be it, right? So I've finished doing the drawing. Now I need to save and update this. Now, like I said, working with SolidWorks is not very different, but saving files is a little bit different. So when I expand this window, I see my drawing and part associated with it, and there's a little status, and that says that the file has been modified since my last save. Now, if I want to save everything, it's basically just one click. I hit the save button. It prompts me to this panel that kind of presents me with some option. If I'm happy with them, I just hit save, and okay. I could also, by the way, I could use the Control S on the keyboard. It would have accomplished the same thing. Now, the difference is that this is being saved directly on the cloud. What that means is that for other colleagues, if they want to look at this part and work with this design, they have access to it. It's instantly. As soon as it's saved on the cloud, everyone has access to it. So, like I was saying earlier, using SolidWorks, modeling with SolidWorks is not very different than what you're already used to, right? So what we see here is, the tools are the same intuitive tools that we're familiar with. You can create the same type of models with part and drawing associativity. That really doesn't change. Saving the files, basically it's where the file is being saved that changes a little bit with all the data management built into it. And we're going to talk about that actually in the next step, because now I need to do some edits to the assembly, and some parts and assemblies of this design has already been released for manufacturing. So what happens now is that I'll have to create revision, and we're going to touch on how to do that using 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks. So let's actually just jump into the assembly now, do our assembly modeling, do a couple of checks to make sure that we don't have any interferences and collision, and then save everything back to the platform. So again, switching back over to SolidWorks, minimize this, and I'm going to expand my assembly that I had already open. Let's zoom in this area. So you see now, this is actually the old design that I want to change. So I'm going to start by window selecting and removing these pins. This is going to be changed and different. So I'm going to remove that. And this part here, that's the old part, delete that, remove it, right? So now I want to insert the new design into this one here. Now, one tip, when you're dragging and dropping between a part into an assembly, one quick tip, grab it by an edge or a face, and that would actually prompt or launch the Smart Mate function automatically. See, it actually snapped directly to where I wanted it to go. What that means is that it's already concentric and coincident. So that saves me like 2 different mates to do, right? Save some time. The last thing I want to do here is Alt drag to again invoke the Smart Mate command and confirm that I want to have these concentric. Very easy, right? SolidWorks, it's the same SolidWorks. I want to mate this shock here. Again, Alt drag the face to make it concentric and confirm. Now I need to put in, so earlier we had a pin that was too flexible. I want to replace that with a shoulder screw. That's going to stiffen it quite a bit. I want to see the length of the shoulder screw. So the length of the shoulder screw is going to go from this face to this face. And when I control select these 2 items, you might have noticed down the bottom, that's again another quick tip. When you control or single select, we actually give you the distance or the length. So it saves you from going into the measuring tool. Now I know my shoulder screw is 25 mil long. That's actually a M6 shoulder screw. So I'm going to leverage the platform and search for a shoulder. I'm just gonna search shoulder right now. So now it's actually going over where all my files are on the cloud and giving me 629 results, which is a little bit too much for what I need. So let's filter down this search by saying M625, enter. You see now it filters that shoulder M625. I got 2 results, one with a regular head, one with a low profile head. I want to take this one here. Let's just squish down this a little bit, drag and drop inside of SolidWorks from my search results, and there it is. There's my screw. The only thing I need to do right now is to assemble it. Again, Alt drag, grabbing the edge, and makes it coincident right on the face. Now I'm gonna have a really hard time putting this screw in, so I need to widen up this this hole. So I'm simply going to select it, double click to bring up the dimension from 8 to, let's go 16. That should be plenty. Click OK to confirm, and that works really well. Awesome. So we've completed the design down the bottom. We need to do some design on top as well, because let me just show you the mechanism here. There's actually a little cam system here, right, with the shock absorber. So as you can see, you can actually, this cams through the side plates, but there's actually two positions to provide some adjustments. So I want to see if everything's going to work right for the other adjustments as well. Just by selecting the screw, I have direct access to the mate. I can edit the mate, and I'm going to say, let's actually unselect this face and select this face and confirm. So I've repositioned everything. Everything kind of went back into its place. It's still moving. Let's see if we have any interference detection. So using the Evaluate tab, my interference detection tool, I'm going to say Calculate, and we're actually going to see that there's a few interferences here, right? So we can actually cycle through them. We can see a few, but if I hide some of the components, you can see that here I got some interferences right over here. So that's not good. We need to find a way to fix that. To better view those interferences, I could also use a section view. I love section view, I have to say. But really quickly, I can look at this section view. If I want to make sure you see what's the how much motion I can get out of this before it actually clashes together, I can use the collision detection tool, select the parts I want to drag and move them, and you see it's actually going to stop once it is colliding. So I have, I'm missing some range of motion here. So what I want to do is actually change the angle of this face. Let's go ahead and double click. Change that to 12 degrees. Hopefully that's going to give me enough room to clear the motion and get me a good range of motion. That works perfect. Now I've changed this part here and actually just turn off my section view. Now I changed this part, but I want to know if there's a drawing associated with this part. So let's go back in our panel that kind of shows us all the tree and the components in my design. What's kind of cool here is that this is interactive. If I select the part, it highlights in the tree here. Now I want to know if I have a drawing for this. I'm going to simply hit the relations, and that's going to expose basically everything related to this part, either assemblies or drawings or anything like that. So now we have a nice tree exposing, well, this part I know very well it's being used in this assembly, which is open right now. But now I know there's a drawing that I need to update as well. So let's just go ahead and select the drawing, and from my relations panel, I'm simply going to say to open and see the dimension down the bottom, updated automatically, right? So that when it opened, it kind of updated the dimension automatically. The only thing I need to do now is to save it. So let's go back to our panel. And from here, I want to save it, but I want to bring your attention to one thing, is that this is set to release. So again, as I said earlier, data management is built into 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks. It also has maturity states, which prevents me from doing things I should not be doing. So for example, I'm not supposed to overwrite or change a file that is released or a drawing that is released. So what am I going to do now? Well, I'm going to create a new revision. So if I try to save it, I'm going to have a little warning say, hey, you're trying to modify something you're not allowed to. But I'm going to create a new revision instead. So right now it's revision A1, it's going to bump to B1. I can add a comment and say I removed clash, just to let everyone know that what's been happening. And then I'm going to say I want to release reservation, because one thing this also allows you to, you see there's a reservation owner column. It's blank right now, meaning no one is working on this file. So it allows me to save it. But if someone would be working on the file, it would actually stop me from overwriting someone else's work. So I'm all good. I want to create a new revision for both the part and the drawing. I hit save. And now I'm going to create that revision once it's saved. But it also gives me history. So if I want to go back to an earlier revision, I can. I can also push this into my life cycle. So for example, I need this new drawing to be maybe reviewed, so I could send it to the freeze maturity, or I can send it completely to released. So if I'm okay with the design, it's a small change, I could actually push it directly to the release stage or frozen and maybe have a review on it. So all of this is built into 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks. Now going back to, we can close this now, we saved it. So we can simply go back to my assembly, but I need to do some changes to the assembly because that assembly has a drawing as well. And what better than explode views, right? When we detail assemblies, explode views are great just to show how everything is built and put together. But I need to update my exploded view. So I'm gonna say I want to edit this feature. Let's grab this shoulder screw, put it over here, grab this lower bracket, maybe drag it a little over here. That looks good. I'm gonna okay that. And maybe a couple last thing I want to do here is some explode line. So I'm gonna say, let's take this, move it through here, through there, just to really show clearly how this is going to work. And maybe the last thing I want to do is actually a jog in this explode line through this part, just like this. And I can reposition the explode line so everything looks good in my isometric view. So very quickly, I've updated my explode view. Let's collapse this. So I got my design complete, but I said we need to update the drawing, right? So I could do a couple of things. I could search for my drawing using the search window. I really like to use the relation just to find stuff. It just exposes everything inside this assembly. Maybe I don't even know if there's a drawing yet of this assembly. Well, this exposes everything, even the children of this assembly. I know the drawing is here. So again, let's just select it, say open. So that's going to open my drawing. Takes a couple seconds. Now this data also, remember the data is on the cloud. So as I do that, it's actually pulling the data locally to my computer. So now I can work locally. When I save it, all the data is being saved back to the cloud platform. So let's just move these arrows over here. That's my item 28. Oh, let's just move this a little further down. So we're gonna take the whole magnet line like this balloon, pointed to this part. So those are items 28 and 29. That should match my bill of material, 28 and 29. We're all good. So now we need to save everything I've done so far back to the platform. Again, using the panel on the right here, exposes everything that changed using while I was working, represented by the little yellow icon. Basically, it's telling me these files have changed since I've opened them. And you see, everything is in release. So all of this assembly was already released. So what I'm going to do is, as I save, like I said, I cannot overwrite something that is already released into manufacturing, but I can create a new revision. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select only the files that have changed. This is actually the side plate that I've changed the diameter of the hole for, so I could put the shoulder screw. This is part of a sub-assembly, so I need to update that too. And now you see all the warnings have gone. I can put in a revision comment, added lower bracket, and removed clash. And then because I'm done working on this assembly and these parts, I'm going to say I want to release the reservation of these files. And you see, this one is actually already still reserved to me, which is the part that was designed earlier. But I can then now save. And again, while I'm saving this to the platform, all my other colleagues now have access to the latest revision directly if they want to share that data in their design. So as I said, SolidWorks, 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks is SolidWorks. The base is SolidWorks. So, you can still do your assembly modeling, collision detection, interference detection, all of that. Really, the difference is that it's already built in, has built-in data management, rev control. You saw the maturity states where you can control if it's released, if it's in work, if it's frozen, because we want to do a review on documents. So all of that is really built in. That's the biggest difference. And also the file storage is on the cloud, right? So now the next thing I want to talk about is how do we interact with other tools on the cloud? So if you were on our webinar last month, you saw XDesign and Xshape. You didn't really see how that would work with SolidWorks though, right? I didn't really show that. I want to do that today. I want to take this design where we're at right now and use some of the other tools on the platform to integrate designs from XDesign or Xshape, or even use common tools like tasks, so we can define tasks and assign tasks to people. So let's see how that works. Going back into SolidWorks, I'll do a little bit in SolidWorks, but then I'll switch to the platform and do some XDesign and some Xshape. So let's jump back into it. So inside of SolidWorks, I'm gonna close everything. Everything's saved, so I don't need to keep all of these documents open. I'm gonna go back into my panel. And one thing is, from the panel, I have access to other tools. One of them that's again built in with 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks is tasks. So tasks are great because you can actually assign tasks to people, and you can also add description to these tasks, some finish date, duration, hours, and even compile them into a full-blown project management tool if you want to. But here we have a task that says that we want to assemble the link, right, that was created in XDesign into that VF2 foot of that project. But we also want to remove some material. So we got two things we need to do: assemble a link in that VF2 foot and remove material. Now scrolling down in that task, we see it's right now to do, the set date is today, and we see some attachments over here. Now, before I open these files, I want to let everyone know I've started working on this, right? So now it's in work, and scrolling down, I need to attach the link on this foot. Now, what's great about these tasks is that I can create those attachments so I don't have to find the files. So maybe my manager created this task for me and assigned it to me, and he said, hey, you need to do something on these files. Well, now I don't even need to know where the files are, or to try to find them. It's there. I select open, it's there. I want to do the same thing for the link. I select it and I say open, and it's pulling the link from the cloud, from my cloud storage area, and opening it inside of SolidWorks. Now this link specifically was not designed in SolidWorks. It was designed in XDesign, but I want to assemble it to my foot over here. So let's tile the panel. It's actually going to be assembled right over in this area. Again, drag and drop. You saw me do this already a couple times. Snap into place. We can close this. We don't really need it anymore. Let's maximize this window. And now I need to assemble it down the bottom here. See, it's kind of free floating. Again, Alt drag, concentric. I'm happy with that. Click OK. And that looks good. Now the last thing I want to do is validate that there's still motion. Now this is actually a subassembly. If I make it flexible, I should be able to move this. There you go. So that kind of shows you a little bit the motion that this is going through. Let's put it back rigid for now. And maybe the last thing I want to do here is do a symmetry. So I'm going to select the part, control select the right plane, go into my mirror component, click OK. There you go, it's on the other side, and maybe add some hardware. Now the hardware is already there, I just hidden it for the moment, but you could complete that with the full hardware. That looks good. I want to save that. Going back to the platform or into my session, we see now the little icon saying this has been modified, and I want to save that. And on the bottom, you'll see the two different links here and here with a different icon. The icon actually represents where it was designed originally. So all these files are SolidWorks files, but this file is a native 3DEXPERIENCE platform file. Yet I can still go ahead and just save everything back into the platform and update the whole assembly. I'm happy with the changes. These are already in work, so I don't need to kind of put in a revision or create a new revision for that. I'll just save it. So as this is being saved, again, all the data is being, saved to the cloud, published to the cloud. I could go back into my collaborative tasks, and if you remember, in my task of assembling the link, I also need to remove material. Now, I want to remove material in the link part. That part was designed in XDesign, so we should really be doing that inside of XDesign. So what I can do here is from my Google Chrome browser, I'm going to switch to the tab where I have my XDesign tool. And just to show you how compatible things are, I can actually grab the link from here, drag and drop into my Chrome browser, and open it directly into XDesign. Just a quick way to get to files. So you see here how it was designed. If it's XDesign is a parametric tool, very similar to SolidWorks, with the difference that it's running on the cloud. So I don't need any installation at all other than my browser. But I want to do some changes. So let's go ahead and sketch on this face. And you'll see some of the UI here I'm using. I want to convert this, again, something that you're likely used to by now. Draw a line, horizontal, vertical. This line here, I'm going to select it and say it's going to be a center line. I window select everything. I'm prompted to do a mirror because there's a center line right in the middle. The S key brings up the shortcut toolbar. I'm going to drop in this at 14 millimeters. That looks good, and I want to remove material, so I'm going to do a cut using a surface cut both ways, and I'm happy with that. So very quickly, I'm removing a little bit of material. We're talking about grams here, but still, it's going to affect the overall performance and weight of the product. I want to add some fillets. Remove these sharp edges. Very similar to SolidWorks, we have tools that automate the selection of edges. So really quick, without picking just one of these edges, I've got all my 6 edges selected. And maybe the last thing I want to do is drop in a little chamfer here with my option to propagate tangency, the other edge, drop that over here and save it. And that's how quick and easy it is to change something using using XDesign. Now the beauty of this is that once it's saved, I could go back inside of SolidWorks. If I open my panel and just do a quick refresh, you'll notice something down the bottom. There's a new icon down over here, and basically this is telling me there's a newer version available. What does that mean, and how do I update it? Well, it's very simple. Right click, and I say I want to reload this newer version. So it's going to go back to the cloud, read the data in, and basically swap it out right inside of my SolidWorks assembly. There it is. That's my new design I've just modified. And maybe the one thing I wouldn't do here is use some of my mirror component option just to flip the part around so it actually oriented the same way on both sides. but that's a very easy fix. And there you go. There we have our design with actually a hybrid design now. It's SolidWorks and X design. Now, the other thing too, if I go back to my tasks, right? I was working on this task, so assembling the link, that's done. So I'm gonna move it, oops, I'm gonna move it to completed. Now, the other thing I wanna do here on another task that I'm going to start working on is create a cover for the foot, right? So this is our next step that we're going to be working on. Again, I need to work using this foot, which is the model open here. So I want to open this model and do some new design this time. So again, I'm gonna go back into my session. Again, same little trick I showed you earlier, drag and drop from my window over here. I'm gonna say I wanna open it. So now, if you notice that I'm actually opening a SolidWorks design in my cloud CAD design tool, right? And we can see that from the little icons in the tree here. We see there's a little SW, red SW. That shows me that all of these parts were originally designed inside of SolidWorks, except the last two links down the bottom. Now I need to do some changes. I want to add a new part. Now before I do that, I'm gonna switch to my X shape so I can create or toggle through that that state, right? So actually let's try this. Let's open it, but in X shape. So here's X shape. I'm going to take the same assembly, open it inside of X shape. Now the difference between X design and X shape is really the approach you take when you design something. If I wanted to design a new part in here, I could create, a new part, obviously, in my assembly. It's going to appear down the bottom. I'm going to double click so it activates, meaning that I'm going to be working specifically on this part. Once it's activated, I'm simply going to rename it cover, just like this, and start working. Now, if I were in X design, I would probably start with sketches and surfaces, and which we have inside of X design, but inside of X shape, we start with primitives, a very different method of modeling. It's called subdivisional modeling. So I'm going to drop this primitive somewhere over here. I'm kind of eyeballing it at this stage, but think of while I do this, while I model this this clay block, ask yourself, how would you do it in SolidWorks, for example, right? So I'm gonna select everything, maybe move it a little bit towards the center so it's aligned, okay. As I want to do some changes to this shape, I also want to activate symmetry, making sure that everything stays symmetric, just like this. And now I need to have some hard edges though. So I'm going to control select a couple edges around this shape, kind of come over here like this and create what we call a crease. So that's going to actually create a sharp edge. And now I can start moving the shape where I want them. Now I don't want to use this kind of odd angle. I want to use XYZ coordinates to move them. So I can move this, let's say over here. And now I'm really going to start modeling this to the shape I want. So I'm going to select these points. I stretch them out here. I'm gonna select these points, stretch them out, maybe over here. Select these points, stretch them out, maybe over here. So still fairly blocky shape, but now I want to get some curves into it. So I could maybe angle, let's do an undo, reselect and maybe angle this a little bit, maybe pull it down. That would probably get me a nice shape. I don't want to do something different. I want to do something more, I guess, extreme. I'm going to window select all these control points and then say, well, I want to have something that's going to go maybe around like this. So using my mouse, I basically sketch a curve or spline and the whole shape adapts to that. That's really, I have to say, that's kind of cool. And now I can start modeling this shape. I can see now it's fairly wide, so I want to make it smaller. So I'm going to window select. Again, because I still have symmetry, I can push it in, maybe up over here. I think that's going to work well. And now I'm going to turn off symmetry because now I really want to get artistic with this. So I'm going to start pushing and pulling these control points into the shape I want. You see, I'm just window selecting and pushing things in and out. Maybe this, I want to pull it out, kind of give it a shape more of like a toe or a boot, something like that. So I can push them in, push them out. Really, at this stage, I'm just having kind of fun, kind of working this into the shape I want to, which is cool. So very quickly, I'm able to get this very curvy shape that would have otherwise required me a lot of work just to get done using splines and sketches. Now, the other thing too, thinking forward, this is going to be a mold, right? It's going to be molded. So I want to make sure I have provisions for draft analysis for my drafts. So I have a draft analysis tool built in that shows me that some of those yellow here, I'm going to have a problem. If I mold this, I'm likely going to have a problem to get this out of the mold. So I want to change the shape, but I can actually just pull in, and you see this is interactive. If I push out, it's worse. If I push it in, I remove this, the negative draft. I want to do the same thing for this edge here. Again, just by selecting the arrows, pushing them in, I remove the problem areas for the draft. Everything looks good now. So at this stage, I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm fine with that, but that's still a solid shape. I wanna have a shell. So in my features, I'm simply going to say that I want to shell it maybe 2 millimeters and select this face. I want to go 2 mils outside instead of inside. Click OK. And now, very nice shell for my assembly. So very quickly, I can go back to my assembly, see how everything looks in the assembly. Now, I probably realize there's going to be some collisions here, so I might have to do some changes. Well, that's easy. I can simply go back into my subdivision model. It's going to activate it automatically and put it in edit mode. And what I'm going to do here is simply window select these points and maybe angle them a little bit and maybe just push them in this much, right? So I change the shape a little bit. I click OK. Everything's going to rebuild, even the shell. Everything looks good. I want to see the whole assembly. Double click. Everything is awesome. Everything is nice. So really a nice kind of shell that I've created using X shape. Now the other thing I can go in and just to finish the work is in my to-do, actually let's just refresh this because if I'm not mistaken, we actually pushed the create cover in the in work. There it is. So now once this is done, I could actually attach the cover back into my task and take this task and move it to complete. Just as easy as that. And if I wanted to do it, I could also go back inside of SolidWorks and do an update inside of SolidWorks, and my cover would simply appear inside of SolidWorks. Actually, let's do it. If we go over here, right click and reload from server. This is going to take a couple seconds. So while this is doing in the background, let's talk about the interoperability between the apps. So we saw that everything is really integrated with the 3DEXPERIENCE products, 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks. We kind of bundled them into offers that includes X design and can include X shape to do the very organic shape like the last cover I did. But everything is well integrated. I can open SolidWorks files into my cloud tools. I can open the cloud design tool files into SolidWorks and finish the design over there. So basically what we saw about 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks, pretty much the same SolidWorks we know. The main difference is going to be how files are saved and managed. The file management is built in, it's cloud, secured cloud file management. Now, with that, depending on which offers, I'll talk about offers a little bit. You can also add, visualize, professional. So if you want to do really high-end rendering, you can use SolidWorks Visualize to do that. You also have access to simulation tools, depending again on the packages you use. But once everything is on the platform, you have access to so much more. Project planning. We talked about tasks, but the next step is project planning. But there's also tools for manufacturing, analytics, all that stuff. So everything is really, the platform is really much more than just where files are stored. Now, if I recap about SolidWorks, 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks. So yeah, if I recap about 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks, what it is, the difference is, oh, there's my update going in the back end. Let's put that in the foreground for now. So the updates are installed directly from the platform. That makes deployment a lot easier. You don't have to run around computers to install service packs. The users can install it themselves from the platform. You're always on the latest version as well. As soon as there's an update to the platform, those updates are pushed down to our users automatically. We can even, between updates, we can even push critical fixes if we have to. Doesn't always happen, but if it does, we have the possibility to do that. So you don't need to manage, admin images and network deployments anymore. Everything is installed and run through the platform. But the platform is, again, the secure cloud backup and storage. Everything is stored on the cloud, managed on the cloud, and now you have access to all that data very easily at your fingertips. So the session was recorded, is being recorded, I should say. It's going to be posted on our channel later this afternoon, hopefully. And usually that's the time where I talk about our next session. Actually, we're going to skip October. So we're not going to do any sessions in October because October is SolidWorks 2021 season, right? So all the resellers will have plenty of material to show you with plenty of enhancements coming in SolidWorks 2021, which will be released early October. So we're going to let there's going to be so much stuff already going on that we've decided to skip 1 month and come back in November. Topics to be determined. We're going to think about it. Again, quick recap about 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks. Really, it's desktop SolidWorks, but connected to the cloud. That's the biggest, most impacting difference. But the cloud also has all those lifecycle management tools you saw, revision control. It's secured, to banking level security that you can collaborate with. Also includes, depending on the offers, some browser-based parametric, X-Design, or subdivisional modeling, X-Shape tools, and photorealistic visualization for your design, and also include or can include some simulation tool to predict product performance. Now, I mentioned the packages, so here they are. There's actually, when we talk about 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks, there's actually 3 offers. There's a standard offer that includes 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks and 3D Creator. There's a second offer, the professional offer, that includes 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks Professional with 3D Creator and 3D Sculptor. So today, what I used today to do everything was the middle offer, the professional offer. Now, if you want to go a step higher and you want to do maybe some routing, piping, you want to do some simulation, we do have an offer that has that, the premium offer. Now, we talk about 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks, but I want to make sure that everyone understands we're not replacing anything, right? It's just another tool that we're adding to our portfolio. In fact, everything I showed today, you can basically just add to your current SolidWorks. If you're a current SolidWorks user, you can just pick and choose whatever you want to add to your current SolidWorks product. If you just want to have data management on the cloud, but you want to keep your SolidWorks that you already bought and it's yours, fine, keep it. We can simply take that and connect it with the data management tools on the cloud. The difference with 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks is that it's already built in, right? So we've got two options. If you want to keep your traditional SolidWorks desktop, connect that to the cloud to get data management, that's fine. If you're open to go ahead, directly with the cloud data management and use 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks, that's another option. I just wanted to make sure everyone understands we're not removing anything. We're just adding options for you to choose from. So I know there's a few questions, but I'm already running a little late. So I'm going to look at the questions and I'm going to reply by email. I got your contact information when you log in a question. So I'm going to reply by email later today or early next week at the latest. But thank you for attending, and I'll leave my contact. And if you want to learn more about Biodab, the model I use, I'm going to wrap things up, but I'm going to play a little video that kind of shows that actual design by Mike Schultz. So if you want to stay tuned, just do that. And till then, I'm going to wish you a great weekend, and till next time. Thank you, everyone.